So yeah, sorry for the disturbance. So let's get started. So welcome back, all of you. Um, so today is going to be a very interesting topic, Docker, right? I'm sure all of you must have used Docker, and in today's session, let's try to have some fun with Docker and Corda. So to before we start off, quickly just to summarize, you can join our Corda Slack channel on Slack by joining slack.corda.net. We all of us are available on Corda Slack channel. So today's session basically will be taken up by me and Ashutosh. So me, basically I'm Sneha from the DevRel team. Ashutosh is also from the DevRel team. We take care of, solving any technical difficulties of you Codap developers. So make sure and feel free to ask us any questions by joining the Slack channel. As I mentioned, you can also visit Corda Docs on docs.corda.net. Again, there's a free training available on training.corda.net. Again, you can visit our GitHub repo where Corda open source is available to you for downloading. So you can visit that on github.corda.com /Corda. And as well as you can contact us on at devril@r3.com. And also make sure you follow us on the tweet on Twitter so that you can follow up with the latest updates. So without taking much time, let's quickly jump on to Docker. So what's the agenda for today? So with regards to the agenda, we have a 1 hour session. In this 1 hour session, what we're going to do is we're going to cover, we are going to talk a bit about Docker, not much, but just on an overview. Then we are going to look at the Corda Docker file. So basically, in today's session, what we're going to do is we have built the Corda Docker image. So we are going to take this Corda Docker image and we are going to take our Corda app, and then this Corda app is going to use this Corda Docker image, and we are going to deploy our application, our Corda app, and we're going to deploy all the nodes in different containers and see how they can interact with each other. So that's where Corda Docker file comes into picture. We'll also see a bit about Docker Compose, and then we'll actually deploy our nodes locally on different containers and see how the nodes can interact with each other. Once we've done that, we'll move on and see how a Corda node can be deployed. So how a Corda Docker can be deployed and how you can set up a Corda network on Azure using Corda Docker. Okay. So yeah. So the very first part. So quickly, if I have to summarize Docker, I'm sure most of you must have used Docker, right? Okay. So before I move on, just make sure that you have Docker installed on your system so that while I code, you can code along with me. Also, secondly, let me share you a link. So whatever files which we require for today's session, I've uploaded those on this GitHub folder. So let me share you this link so that in the meanwhile, when I talk, you can download these files and also set up Docker on your system. So going back to the presentation. So Docker basically, let's say that you have to deploy Corda on multiple virtual machines. Let's say that you have to deploy Corda or you have to deploy your application on individual machines or many different machines. So what you'll have to do is you'll have to set up the operating system, and you have to make sure that you keep a watch on the operating system, you apply the different security patches to the operating system, make sure that your operating system is up to date. You have to manually go and configure all the configurations required to set up this operating system, right? And basically doing all of this can get pretty hard at times. So you'll also have to make sure that you have all the dependencies in place, and you'll have to manage the entire dependencies yourself as well. And then once you have all of these things, you will actually deploy Corda on top of it, right? And again, Corda also has a bunch of dependencies on which it is dependent. So for example, Corda requires Java. So for example, you'll have to set up Java on your system, and you'll have to download certain Gradle dependencies required by Corda. So this can become pretty hard sometimes. So what if you can do all of this? That is, you can take all of this. That is set up the operating system configuration, the dependencies just once. Take all of this and put that in an image. That sounds interesting, right? And once you have the image ready, you can just simply deploy this Docker image inside containers. And then you can simply start off these containers on your virtual machine or on your server. So, this sounds like a pretty good idea, right? So this is why we also came up with our Docker image. And so to uh, uh, so basically, to set up the Docker image, you require the Docker file. So before moving on to the Docker file, let's talk about this. So this is the Docker hub on which the Corda Docker image has been deployed. We will look into how this Corda Docker image has been built. So this Corda Docker image has been built using the Docker file. Now, before moving on to Docker file, let me share this link with you guys so that you know where the Docker image is available. Now, if you look at this Docker image, this Corda Docker image, this is this consists of version 4.5. So for today's session, what we are going to do is we are going to use Corda version 4.5 and set up the local network. So this particular image is of Corda network, is of basically Corda node 4.5. So now once you know that this is the particular image which you have to use, now let's move on and let's see how this particular Corda Docker image must have been built. Now again, when I say an image of Corda, I mean that the base platform. So just to recap quickly, you can compare Corda with an Android operating system. So just as Android uses a base platform and Android has a base, so basically Android gives you a base platform, and then on top of that, Android developers build different applications, different Android applications on top of the base platform, right? Similarly, Corda is also kind of an operating system. You can think of it as an operating system where Corda will provide you the base platform, and on this base platform, you will build different Corda apps. Now, these different Corda apps will make use of this base platform. This base platform consists of all the libraries, the APIs, the services which are required for you to build the Corda apps. So this base platform, you can say, is the image which we have built within this. So this base platform is nothing but a Corda.jar. It has certain dependencies which are required. So all of this is bundled in this Corda Docker image. So once we all of us know that this is the base platform, now let's see how this Corda Docker image has been built. So this is the Corda Docker file which has been used to build this Corda Docker image. Let me share this link as well with you guys. So looking at the Corda Docker file. So basically a Docker file is used to build any particular image. So you can think of a Docker file as a list of commands. And what the Docker file does is, whenever the Docker file, basically whenever we start off Docker and whenever we execute this particular image, or rather whenever we deploy this particular image on a container, Docker file will send each and every command to the Docker engine. And Docker engine will execute each and every command serially from top to bottom. Okay, let's check what exactly we have written in the Docker file. So the very first thing is from command. So this tells the image, or this tells the Docker engine that we are going to build this Corda node image, which will be based on this particular image. So usually Docker files, or rather Docker images, they're built on top of existing images. So for our image, we are going to use the Zulu OpenJDK 82192 tag. So the tag which is used for this particular image is 82192. So we are going to use for our image, the base image will be Zulu OpenJDK. So this is the JDK version which we are using with Corda Docker image. So when we run this particular image, this particular JDK image will be first downloaded from the Docker Hub, and then we'll move ahead, and our image will be built on top of this particular image. So basically, we will have JDK installed in our Docker image. The run command basically tells the Docker engine to run all the commands which are listed in front of it. There are certain general things which we are doing over here. We are creating certain directories within our Docker image. That is, for example, OPT Corda, Corda apps, persistence. These are the different directories which we are creating inside a Docker image. If we move on, this is the environment variable. So env lets you set certain environment variables which can be used within your Docker image. Volume is nothing but the persistent storage. So basically what we're doing is we are creating these many persistent storages within our image. The next command is the copy command. So once we've created the persistent images, what we're doing is we're simply copying the different jar files to these particular folders. So we've already created OPT Corda, and we're copying the corda.jar to these particular folders. The next command is like we are exposing certain ports from within our image, which can be used outside the container. So these are the commands, these are the ports, different ports, which we are exposing from within our image. The working directory is nothing but the current directory. So whenever you'll start off your image, or whenever the image gets deployed onto the container and the container starts off, the current directory which the image will use will be this. So always the current directory for our node will be OPT Corda. And then lastly is the command. The command is basically, it tells the image that whenever the image gets deployed onto the container, this is by default, you have to run this command, which is run Corda. So if you run Corda is nothing but if you go back to the source, there's a bash script written named run Corda. So this script, if you see, it basically does nothing but it does a Java jar corda.jar. Okay, so basically what it does is it starts off our Corda node. So this is what, on a very high level, this is what is we've written. This is what basically is written in Docker file. And so using this particular Docker file, this particular Corda node image, Docker image has been generated. Okay. So till now what we've seen how a Corda Docker image has been created using Corda Docker file. You have links to both of them. Now we're done with, now we understand that we have our Corda Docker image. Now the next part, what we'll do is, we'll move on and let's move on to the third and the fourth part, where what we'll do is we'll set up a local Corda network, and we'll use this Corda Docker image, and we'll deploy the nodes individually on different individual containers, and then we'll see how the nodes can interact with each other. Okay, so let's move on. And first, the very first step is, let's first set up our local network. Okay, so I think if all of you guys are with me, just follow the steps which I am doing so that you can also set up a local network with me. So the very first thing is, go to this particular link. So go to this particular link. This particular link, basically it tells you about the network bootstrapper. So what we are going to do is today, first, we are going to set up a local network using the network bootstrapper tool. So let's do that. So for that, you will require certain things. So what you do is, you go to this GitHub link, which I've shared it with you, and you go to Docker local. And from the Docker local, you guys are now to set up the local network. You guys will work on this particular folder. You guys will work on the Docker local folder. Before you work on the Docker local folder, just do one thing. Just copy this Bootcamp CodeApp jar from outside to the Docker local folder. Okay. So this is the Docker local folder which I have with me. Also do one thing. Go to this network bootstrapper and click on this link. So using this link, you will be able to download the network bootstrapper. Go and download the version 4.5. So let me share this link with you. So this link, basically, you will download the network bootstrapper. Once you have the network bootstrapper, make sure that your folder consists of all these things. You have the network bootstrapper with you, then you have the Bootcamp CodeApp jar, and then you have the configurations for the 4 nodes. Okay. So for this particular session or this particular demo, we are going to use the Bootcamp CodeApp jar. This jar has been built using version 4.5. This has a CodeApp. So this CodeApp, basically, it deals with token issuance CodeApp. So you can issue tokens from one to the other party. So what we'll do is, once we deploy these nodes onto individual containers, we'll issue a token from one party to the other party. Okay. So before setting up the local network, this Corda tools network bootstrapper tool is used to set up the local network. This requires certain things for setting up the local network. What all things it requires? The very first thing is the CodeApp jar, which has to be deployed on each and every node. Secondly, it requires the node configurations of all the nodes, So here I have node tree, party A, party B, and party C. So I'm going to deploy these 3 nodes along with node tree to set up or to deploy a local network. So if I open any particular node, node configuration, you'll see that these are the basic things, most of them. Like we've set up the dev mode equal to true. We've defined the legal name for each particular node. We've set up the point-to-point address. I'll let you know what this means exactly, what party A means exactly later. As of now, just keep this in mind that we've set up the point-to-point address. And we also have the username and password set up. And then what we have done is we've defined an SSH port, which is 2222. So these are the different configurations for each and every node. For node tree also, what we've done is we've set up the node tree node, and the node tree can be specified by specifying node tree validating equal to false. So this is the node tree node. So we have everything in place for our for basically our local network to be set up. So let's start. So let's run the network bootstrapper to set up the local network. Now, how do you run that? So go to the folder where you have all these files. So let me go to my folder. So I have it in my documents, Docker Bootcamp. So this is my folder basically. Now what I'll do is, let's set up a local network. To set up a local network, what we'll do is we'll fire the Java jar, the Corda tools network bootstrapper, and give it the command of directory, current directory. So by specifying this, you tell the network bootstrapper to use all the configuration files which are located in the current directory, and then set up a local network. So when I hit enter, it will start setting up a local network. Let me share you this command. So what exactly this network bootstrapper does is it generates a certain one folder for each node. So it generates folders for party A, party B, party C, and node 3. And then it checks whether any Coda app has to be deployed on these particular folders. If yes, so basically it finds the Bootcamp Coda app jar in our folder. So it takes it and it puts it inside the Coda apps directory, and then it starts generating the node info files. So the node info files are used by the nodes to communicate with each other. Basically, they are built from the legal name and the point-to-point address which we have specified from the node configuration. So if you look over here, these are the different folders which have been created. And now it's saying that it's distributing all the node info files to all the nodes. And lastly, what it does is it generates the network parameter file. So if you see over here, there's one network parameter file as well, which has been generated. So essentially, this network parameter file is kind of a file which consists of some certain global level settings, and this is used by all the nodes to interact with each other. So till now, what we've done is we've set up our local network. We've set up all the configurations required to start off a local network. For that, what we did was we placed the different configuration files of the parties in one node. We placed the Coda app jar in the same folder. We also placed the tools network bootstrapper in the same folder. And at the same time, what we did was, once we placed this, we started off the network bootstrapper by giving it the directory command, by specifying the directory to be the current directory. And then these were the folders which were generated, right? Now our configurations, whatever required for starting off a local network, they're ready. Now let's move on and let's just talk about the Docker Compose file. Before starting off a local network using Docker, let's talk about the Docker Compose file. So let's look at the Docker Compose file. So basically, to spin up multiple containers simultaneously at once, you can use the Docker Compose file. Basically, if you look at the Docker Compose file, what it will do is it will spin up different containers. So we have defined these services. We have defined a notary, party A, party B, and party C. These are the different services which we've defined in this Docker Compose file. So what Docker Compose file will do is it will spin up individual containers for individual services. So it will spin up one container for party A, it will spin up another container for party B, and it will spin up another container for party C as well as node C. Let's take a look at each and every details which we have written within each service. So each service or each container will be deployed using this particular image. So this particular base image, this image is nothing but our Coda Docker image. This image will be deployed onto our Node-3 container. The name of the container which we've given for this is Node-3. And so this is the ports which we've exposed. So if you remember, if you go back to your node.configuration, we had exposed an SSH port which was 4 times 2. So the Docker Compose file, basically, what we are doing is we are exposing this port, which is the SSH port, from within the image, from within the container to the outside world. So this is exposed as 2000, 2001, and 2002 and 2003. So once basically we have our services, that is, once we have our parties or nodes up inside different containers, we can actually SSH into our nodes using these particular ports which have been exposed via SSH. Okay. Again, these are volumes, but volumes are nothing again but persistent storage. So if you remember, within the Docker file which we saw earlier, the Docker file of the Coda node, there we had created different persistent storage, right? We had created OPT Coda, we had created OPT Coda logs. So now what here we are doing is we are simply mapping the different directories which we've created. So if you look at party A persistence, so if you look at this, a directory named as party A persistence has been created. So the party A persistence basically, so basically party A persistence will be mapped to OPT Coda persistent, or the notary logs will be mapped to OPT Coda logs. So basically here what we're doing is whatever folders which we've generated, we are simply mapping them or mounting them onto the image, onto the directories which have been created within the image. So if you see over here, again going back to individual folders, what these individual folders represent. So the additional node info, basically it consists of all the node infos. So this is used for communication between the different nodes. The certificates are again used for the signing. Then the Coda apps folder consists of the bootcamp coda app.jar. This is the log folder. This is the network parameters, the node configuration, and this is the persistent storage. So what we're saying in our Docker file is, in our Docker Compose file is that please mount or rather map these directories to these directories within the image. Now, if you look over here, these three things, that is the code apps folder, the node info folder, and the network parameters. These are the three things which are common to all the parties, or rather common to all the Coda nodes. So what we'll do is we'll pick up all these three things from individual folders and just add it to the shared folder. So let's do that. So let's create a new folder called as shared, and let's copy the additional node info, the Coda apps, sorry, not the Coda apps, the additional node info, yes, the Coda apps, and the network parameters. So simply copy these three things from any one of the Coda node and paste it in the shared folder. Once you do that, please make sure that you delete all these three things from all the nodes. So we have our entire configuration ready. We have set up the configuration required to set up a local network. We also saw we have written this Docker compose.yaml. This consists of all the configurations required to start off the different containers for individual nodes. So I think what are we waiting for? I think we have all the necessary configurations required. So now let's just spin up different containers and have our Docker image, Coda Docker image deployed onto these containers. And let's have all the parties running on individual containers. So to do that, just do a Docker PS. It tells you if any of the container is up or it's down. So as of now, I don't have any containers running as such. If I do Docker image, if I do a Docker image ls, you will see that these are the different images which are stored on my system. So when I ran this project for the very first time, I already had this Docker. I pulled up the Coda Docker Zulu Java 1.8 4.5 version from the Docker Hub. So I already have this image downloaded onto my system. So whenever you'll run the Docker Compose command for the very first time, it will download this particular image onto your system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Docker Compose up command to basically start off the containers. So this is the command. Let me paste it in the folder on the YouTube channel. So what this Docker Compose up is doing is it is creating 4 different containers for 4 different nodes, and it is deploying the Coda node image individually on each and every container. So all the 4 containers are starting simultaneously. once we start off the containers, what we're going to do is we are going to SSH into the image. We are going to SSH to one of the party, and then we are going to issue a token from one party to the other party. Again, for SSH, if you remember, we had SSH port exposed in the Docker compose file. So for party A, we have 2001, and this represents, this is exposed, and this is mapped to 222 from the party A dot configuration. So let's SSH into party A container using 2001. So all the parties have started, all the containers have started. So let me just do an SSH, give the port number as 2001, and the username was user1, and the host is localhost. So when I do this, just do an yes. The password is test1. Sorry, the password is test. And now we've used SSH to SSH into the into party A. So let's just do a flow list. So if you see that one Coda app has been loaded onto all the nodes. So so our token issue flow initiator, this is the flow which has been installed onto all the nodes. So let's start off and let's issue a token from party A to party B. So let me just ping you this as well. So I give it the owner name as party B and amount as, let's say, 100. So what are we doing is we are issuing a token from party A side to party B side. So hitting enter. Yes, the flow has executed. So let's check by running a vault query. Let me share this as well. Let's run the vault query to see if we have the token state on our database. So run vault query, contract state type will be the full path of the state, which is the token state. Hit enter and you see that yes, a token has been issued from party A to party B with an amount of 100. So let's also do one thing. Let's also SSH into party B using user1 @localhost. Yes, test. And let's fire the same command onto party B as well. And let's make sure that the token state is there on party B's vault as well, on party B's database as well. So yes, it is available on party B as well. And so we can now safely say that we have now connected to party A, party B via SSH, and we've checked that the token has stood from party A to party B. So that's all about it from local deployment perspective. So let me quickly summarize what all we did. We saw how to build this Coda Docker node. This Coda Docker node has been deployed onto Docker Hub. So you can go and download or pull this image from here and use it in your application. We saw the contents of the Docker file and how the Docker file was being used to create this Coda Docker image. Then we went and we saw how to use the network bootstrapper to deploy a local network. For that, we downloaded this particular project and we used all the node configurations from this particular folder. And the network bootstrapper, we used the network bootstrapper to set up a local network. After that, we went and we saw the docker compose.yaml the file. We saw how to define different containers within the docker compose.yaml file. We also saw what are the uses of the individual commands. That is, what are the ports used for? How can you expose a port from within an image to the outside world, and all those things. And after that, we simply ran the Docker Compose command, Docker Compose up command to start off the containers and to deploy Corda Docker node on individually onto each container, to deploy the Corda Docker image individually onto each container. And then we saw how the parties were deployed on individually on each container. And then we issued a token from one party to the other party. So now what we're going to do is now we're going to move on, and I'm going to hand it over to Ashutosh from now on, and he'll take up the last part, which is running Corda node on Corda Docker image onto Azure. Yeah, over to you, Ashutosh.
Yep, thank you so much, Sneha. That was very well explained. I think you did all the things in pretty much details, so that makes some of my work easier. Thank you for that. Let me just go ahead and share my screen before I start. Okay. I hope you guys are able to see my screen now. Just a second. Let us set it up. All right. So yeah, we have learned how to do Dockerized deployment on local. So if you're developing on local, that would help you to bring up your Docker containers in one go. Because just type in, bring up your Docker, create a Docker Compose file and bring up all the nodes all together. But what if you want to do it on a VM, right? On something that's on remote VM. So that's also one of the questions which we regularly get on the public Slack. So we thought of, let's try and show it to people, and let's see how it goes. So it's sort of a little bit of a tricky thing to do. Not that difficult, but if you get some of the configurations wrong, it might get you might get a little screwed up. So yeah, I hope I can give you guys the right information by the end of this session. All right, so first thing we need to do is obviously, because we are doing it on Azure, we need VMs. So the way we are going to do is we'll create two different VMs. One VM will host the Notary and Party A, and then the other VM will have Party B and Party C, right? There won't be much changes if we look at the configurations, like the thing that we did for local would be pretty much the same, other than some minor changes, which I will let you know what to do. But before that, let's get our VM configured. So first, I have one VM, which is more of a duplicate task, right? Creating two VMs. So I have created one VM beforehand, and I'll create the other VM in front of you guys, so that you know if there are any small changes that we need to do to the VM, in case so that we can so that our code and node can actually work properly on the VMs. Isn't much, just a regular exercise of creating a VM. So I'm going with Ubuntu Server. Right, just giving a name, let's say VM2, and I'll just choose this as per your so whatever you think is better for you. I'm going with the 4 CPUs and 16 GB machine. I'm hosting 2 nodes in here, and I'll need a username to log in. That's it. I think pretty much it. Everything else would um, remain the default, other than one thing. The very important thing is we need a public IP and a static public IP. So just remember to make it static. Make sure it's not dynamic, otherwise it's going to mess up with your network map, right? So yeah, public IP, that's pretty much it. And we also need to sort of expose certain ports so that the nodes are able to communicate, but we can take care of that after we create the VM as well. All right, yeah, just create the VM, and that should do it. I'll just download this thing and I'll put it at a proper location. Just a second. Here, that's my second. All right. So that's my second key to log into the VM, right? So I got two VM. One is under deployment, the other one is ready. So let's just log into the other VM. And so other than that, once you have a VM ready, you need to install certain things like you need Java, you need Docker and Docker Compose since we're working with Docker, right? So we'll do that once the VM is up. Before that, let's just, while the VM thing is configuring and it's coming up, let's just look at what are the changes that we need to do to our Docker Compose file and a node configurations file so that it could work on the VMs, right? All right. There's my process. Yeah, so here we go. That's the local, and this is our VM. Let me just open this up. I like to use Sublime Text. Okay, just rearranging a bit. So that's our node.conf. All we need to do is we need to have the correct IP of the machine where the node will be hosted, which we will get once the machine is up. We already have it for the first VM, so we will just copy it from there and put it right here. If you go in here, you get the public IP here. Just copy it. Remember, we are just putting our node tree and party A on VM1. So just change this. And then party A. All right. So other than that, it's pretty much the same other than the nodes, other than the ports, basically. So if you remember, we are using the default exposed port from our Docker image for the official Docker image, which is posted on Docker Hub. But you need to understand that we are trying to deploy two nodes in one single VM. And if I use the same port, let's say 10200, I guess, 10,200, then what's that going to do is the P2P address for both of my node is going to be the same, which is, and it's going to be really confusing for someone who wants to communicate with these guys. Which address should I communicate? Because they are going to conflict, right? So we need to have separate ports and then we'll publish them in our Docker Compose file. So that's what we have done. We have got separate ports for all of them rather than using the same exposed port, right? That's correct. I hope I would have my second VM ready by now. It's still deployment succeeded. And that's my second VM here. Here I get my IP as well. So let me just get this thing out of the picture. So the IP of the second VM. So that's all we need to do. Other than that, it's just regular things. You have your ports and this is just 00. We don't want to have our Artemis trying to bind to public IP and then failing. So we're just using the, uh, the, the sort of default or the 00 so that we can directly refer to this using the host machine's IP. Right. So all our four node.configurations file are ready. And before we move on to the Docker Compose file, or rather, let me just show that nothing much changes. Everything remains the same, other than two things. Is we are now exposing the two ports, which we didn't earlier because we were using the default one. But since we are changing our ports, we need to expose it on the Docker Compose file as well. And everything else remains the same. One possible thing which you might notice is that I have just changed this folder on my local from node infos to additional node info so that it's in sync. That's easier. Just copy it over there. And it just works. So just rename that. Nothing changes there as well. And I don't have a sort of the SSH port for Notary because I'm not going to log into Notary anyways. But if you want to, you can have one SSH port for that and then configure it accordingly. But I do have configured SSH ports for party A, party B, and party C. Now they are different because the same reason. It would be the same port, then I wouldn't be able to identify which node I'm trying to log into. So different ports, right? Other than that, it's all the same. I think Sneha has already given you a brief of what all these things are and why we have exposed that. So I don't have to cover that anymore. All right, so let's work on the VM2. VM1 is already configured. I'm just copying the same steps that I did for the VM2 here. So I will just SSH onto my port. So for that, I'll need a terminal. All right, let me bring it here. Okay. I hope that's visible to you guys. All right, so let me go to my folder where I have all these things, and that's here. So I need to connect to the VM, so I can SSH to it. Just copy this rather than typing it. So yeah, there we go. All right, I'm inside VM1, but everything is configured here. So I'll open up a new terminal and I will log into VM2. And the URL of the IP here is this one. Okay, I just need to have the right permissions for the PIM file. That is the right permission, and that should allow me to go in. All right, so we are into the second VM. So this is a clean VM, nothing in there. Just need to find install Java. So I have all the commands already. So just in case you want them, I'm going to post it on the chat. That's okay. That's way too long. Doesn't accept. Okay, so I will post them one by one. This is for Java. This is for Docker. And then we need certain permissions that we need to give to Docker. This is for Docker Compose. And finally, we'll need to have unzip as well, because we are going to send all these files from our local in a zip format, and we'll unzip that on the VM. That's all we're going to need. So let me just run them one after the other on the VM itself. It shouldn't take a lot of time, so don't worry about that. It could just take maybe 2 to 3 minutes to complete all the installations. And that's Java installing. All right, while this happens, why don't I just go ahead and run the network bootstrapper? I need another terminal. VM. So I have all my node.conf files here. and I do have the network bootstrapper. Well, again, I think it's the same command which Sneha used. Just run the Java jar and network bootstrapper um, jar, and that will do the stuff for us. It will create all the artifacts required for running all these nodes, right? It's working. And I hope I would have Java installed by now. Yep. I'll go with Docker then. Yes. It's ready. Right. So we are done with our network bootstrapping. We should have all the required files already created. Yeah. We have the node tree, party A, party B, and party C. And just move them inside the nodes directory so that it becomes a little bit more manageable. And I'm going to delete these files. I don't need them. These are some logs generated by the network bootstrapper. Let's go inside here. So that's clean. What do we really need in here? Other than that, we will remove everything else. I already have a shared folder created. The code app is in here, which is the bootcamp code app. This is the same code app we developed during our previous bootcamp session. And then we need all the additional node infos. Right, let's copy it in here. So this is our network map because we are using the network bootstrapper. So in general, you don't have to do this in production use cases or in production environments because you would be having a network bootstrapper service running, and that will give you all these files. But for this, we'll have to do this. And we need the network parameters, which is here. And that's it. That's for everything that we have in the shared folder. And I'll just need to do some cleanup. I don't need anything else apart from the certificates and the node.conf. So that's for Notary, and I need to do the same thing for all of them. The certificates and node.conf are there. Yes. All right. Just one more. All right. Okay. That's it. So our setup is done. Okay. Everything is up. And let's just look at our VM. Where are we? We have installed Docker. We set up few more things. Docker PS. Right, so I need to run these permissions thing. Set the right user group for Docker. All right, Docker is set up. I need Docker Compose. That should not take much time. This should be done in a minute, and we are all set. And then unzip. Perfect. So we are good with both of our VMs. This one thing that we need to do with our VM is expose the right ports. I've done it for one VM and I'll do it for the other VM. So if you go to VM1 and you go to networking, what you'll see is all these ports which we are using, right? The P2P port and the RPC ports have been opened up for incoming traffic. So that will allow the node to communicate with outside world. We have to do the same for the VM2. If you go to networking here, you won't see these things there. So we will do that right now. What are the ports, Bart? The ports are the ports for party B and party C. That's P2P addresses and the RPC addresses. So party B has port 1008 and 9. Just making sure these are right. Right. Just add these ports here. 1008. Just give it a name. And 10,009. Is that 9? Yeah, that's 9. And again, rename this to something else. All right, we are done with one node. So yeah, also the P2P port. That's 2222. Or sorry, the SSH port basically. That's for party B, and let's look at party C. You can also check these ports which we are exposing. It has to be the same port. 11, 12, and 10,011, 10,012, and 3333. 1011, 1012. Just make sure you have a different priority. That's what Azure asked for. 12. And one more is 3333. Okay. Yeah, that should be it. So our VM is configured as well. What's left is transferring our files from our local to the VM. So let's work on that. Okay. So let's create two packages for both the VMs. So for VM1, we need the Docker Compose. For VM1, we need the notary, we need the party A, and obviously the shared folder. And let's compress them. Rename it to VM1. VM2, we need this, and this. Compress VM2. That's it. We have our files ready. Let's send it across to the VMs. Just SSH. SCP, sorry. Okay. Folder move to the nodes folder. Okay. SCP one. The file is vm1.zip. Where do I need to send it? To VM1. That is here. Okay, one of my file is gone. And I need to worry about the second file now. VM2. This is where I need to send it. And that's it. So my file should be here. It's VM1. I'll just go ahead and create a folder called nodes. See, move to nodes, move the VM1 in here. All right, and zip. Perfect. We have everything here, and all I have to do is just don't like this file. Okay, so we are ready to run our Docker Compose file, and I hope it works fine. Docker Compose, yes, F, the file name is Docker Compose VM1, and up. All right, let's see what happens. It's pulling our Docker images from. So while it does that, let me just go to the second VM and can do that. It's VM2. Yeah. Nodes. Nodes. The move the file here. And zip it. Correct. And just remove this unwanted file. All right, so I'm ready to do this as well. Oops, something is failed here. It is it that fails. Okay, it's a permission issue. We might not have the right permission, so I didn't create the correct user groups and stuff. I guess you guys can do that, but to cater to this, all I'll do is take the ownership of the files just. Recursively, and just keep everything in nodes to me. Sudo. All right, that should work, I hope. Goes. And we'll run it here as well. So the problem is with this issue of permissions, right? The containers are trying to create some files in the file system of the remote VM, which it is not able to do because we haven't set the correct permissions. These are the things which you can take care of later on when you deploy. But for now, yeah, my nodes are up. I would say the same issue here, I guess. But the good thing is both of my nodes are up and running. All right, I hope this should work. All right, we get the same issue here. Let me just do this things. Do the ownership transfer. Sudo. All right, that should be it. Let's try it again. Pause and up. All right. Okay, so we had a question is if we can run Node Explorer. Yeah, sure, we can run a Node Explorer. Why not? Maybe I'll just try to show that. So while this comes up, and I hope it does, let me try and connect to using Node Explorer to one of the nodes. So this is party A running on this port. Bring up Node Explorer. Perfect. So both my nodes are up. No issues there. I just need to make sure that they are able to communicate. That's my, what's the RPC port? It is 10,006. User is the regular one that we generally use. It's the one in test. And there you go, Node Explorer connected. Right? Going to our identity view, you see you get all the different IP addresses here. So yeah, I think we are all good. Let's try and do a transaction. Only if we have the correct path, I guess we have. It's a token issue. It's a token issue flow, right? It's a bootcamp app which we built in a previous webinar. So everybody should be already aware of that. We are just issuing some tokens to the counterparty. We logged in as party A. So this guy is in the first VM, and let's issue some tokens to a party in the second VM, that is party B. Amount can be say 100. Oh, is it going to work? Yeah, it did. So my nodes are able to communicate rather than they being on different VMs. And we can show that the transaction has actually been committed. And you could see that you have this particular state available on your vault. A party A, let me just prove that to you by logging to party B as well, which is like this is party C. And here we go. That's party B. And the port is 10,009. User 1, test. You see a transaction done. You see the vault. And that's it. We are able to successfully deploy 4 instances or 4 different nodes, 2 on each VM on Azure. So I hope this answers most of your questions that you have been asking on public Slack, and you'll be able to do the deployments going forward on your own. All right. If there, I don't see any more questions as such on the chat, so I hope we are good here. This is what we really wanted to show you guys in this webinar. If you like this, you should be able to do your Dockerized local and VM deployments both after you have seen this webinar. Anyways, the videos will be out on the Coda channel, and if you guys just missed out something and want to just go through this again, feel free to check it out. It should be out in a day on the Coda channel. Once again, thank you from our side. Thank you everyone for joining, and we hope to see you in the next webinar. Goodbye.